I don't think y'all understand how hyped this Lego catalog cover got me as a 9-year-old Lego Star Wars fan. Seeing that ATST on Endor on the cover, it was the first time I felt something. Because this set hadn't come out yet, I literally rebuilt the face of the ATST out of spare parts from my bin. Like, I was unbelievably excited about this random Lego Star Wars set. At least it feels random looking back on it. Panning down on that beautiful box art for the 10174 Ultimate Collector's ATST, it says it has 1,068 pieces. According to the catalog, though, it has 1,066 pieces, so a little discrepancy there is interesting. Its original retail price was $80, which makes it the second cheapest Lego Star Wars UCS set ever released, and if we're going by piece count, it's the fourth smallest. So it's very far on one end of extremes as far as UCS sets go. Now, this actually ended up being my first UCS set, so it's also kind of special to me for that. But yeah, I was 9 years old. Obviously, the age rating on the box, 14 plus, but I was able to handle it. I was a big boy. I don't know if I should say that. The ATST on this box looks massive. You've also got the shield generator and the landing pad shown off in the background, and then you've also got a couple other shots of the ATST build. There's also some other little detail pictures on the side and top of the box that definitely add a nice vibe to it with the silver outline continuing. Looks so good. And then on the back, we have what might be my favorite style of backside for a UCS set box. It's amazing. It shows off the measurements with kind of a hologram look because they've added a blue tint to it. You've got a lot of details about the ATST, some of which we'll see repeated on the display plaque, but more than what they could otherwise fit on the display plaque. You've also got more glamour shots of the ATST, and then I love having the name stretch the entire bottom of the box. Altogether, it creates a really nice vibe for the back of the box. So I think overall the packaging on this thing is amazing. Some of the hype leading up to it was amazing, and today, nearly 20 years later, I'm going to relive that. I'm really excited to open this box. The style of the box with the side tabs you have to tear open is probably my least favorite style because it could rip the front of the box. So I tried hard to avoid that, but with the box open here, everything inside is immaculate. I really didn't expect this. The sticker sheet's great. The instruction manuals are still pristine. Like a lot of times over 20 years, these are going to get beat up and they just didn't here. And while we don't have numbered bags, there are indeed 14 bags of gray for this ATST build. It's a staggering amount of gray on the table. Anyway, let's complete the build and take a look at it. Now, because the set was released in the early days of UCS sets, there was no minifig included. No ATST driver, no Chewbacca, no Scout Trooper, nothing of the sort to be found, which is logical in one way because no minifig is going to interact with the build, but at the same time, when a set comes out a year later that costs a quarter the price with a minifig, you just want a minifig, and so obviously modern day Lego Star Wars sets come with minifigs, but yeah, back in the day, wasn't a thing. The display plaque was the standard style for the time, using a bunch of individual tiles to create one big tile and then laying the sticker over it, which creates a bit of an odd look depending on the lighting. You can see like a bunch of lines in your sticker, kind of odd, but it's got the blueprint look in ATSC, which looks dope, as well as some basic information about the vehicle in universe. Now, taking it all in here, nearly 20 years later, it still looks great. It's aged very well, and I think it's helped a lot by some sharp lines and very clean, kind of studded look. I would say the more brick-built ATSC that came out a year later didn't age as well, but this one integrates a lot more technic, which I think helps it feel more modern. Keying in on the foot design of the build, it's obviously very important because this is what the entire weight of your build is going to be put down on, and so it's got very wide feet, nice and flat. They definitely distribute all of the weight coming down very well for something that theoretically should be very unbalanced, it feels like, so it definitely is nice to have some very sturdy looking feet. You've got some nice detail with kind of the phone piece, and then at the very front, I found out this is like a tree cutter. This doesn't seem to be from stabilization, at least according to the cross-section book, but if you lift this up, you can actually adjust it a little bit, so if you really need it to be up or something stupid, it does move, although, yeah, I like to keep it down. I think it looks the best. Both feet are, of course, essentially mirror images of each other, so they do look the same. I think the ankle section on this build is really well detailed. Like, it comes up at a nice angle. You can see some Technic, but then they use some tiles to cover it up so that it looks as clean as possible, which is great to see. And just, I love the look of it. It looks really clean. You can see on the other ankle here, again, a very similar design. That's what the inside will look like. And it's basically a mirrored build all throughout until we get a little higher up, but we'll get there. Getting a little higher up into the shin section, you're going to see a really strong joint here. So you've got a couple of pieces that intersect with another piece coming down, and there's some Technic pieces that connect them inside of there. And so that is going to keep your legs very strong in this section. So they're not going to bend. Same deal really at the ankles. I didn't really show it, but they also don't bend. Like very, very strong connections at the bottom of this ATST, disallowing for any like movement, but that's really what you want at this scale, because otherwise it would probably crumple down onto itself. So it is a very strong couple of joints here. You've also got this giant bar piece that kind of drops down, and compared to source material for 2006, it's really like great to see little things like that be so accurate. I mean, it's UCS, it should be, but it's old, so you never know. Getting even higher up here, I think it's where kind of the crazy angles of this set become very apparent. Like, my camera's level. This set actually leans back ever so slightly there, maybe 5 degrees or so, and then the leg is even further back there, and then even crazier angles. Like, it's got some really cool angles that I think make this ATST look not very rigid, which is definitely what you want. You want it to look like it's kind of in motion or something, I guess. So this larger round piece here is the elbow joint, and then this here is the knee joint. That's what it says in the cross section. Kind of odd, elbow and knee right next to each other, usually on different appendages, but you know, it's an ATST from Star Wars. We're not going to get too deep into those weeds. So yeah, try to give you the best possible view on how that elbow joint works there. It's very strongly designed, so you really, again, don't have to worry about it breaking or anything, but this one actually is something you can change the angle on. You can actually lift these up. Now the problem is when you lift them up, you're probably gonna eventually have the model fall back, and I don't know why you would want to lift it up. Like, it looks kind of silly. Like, now it just looks absolutely ridiculous, but if you really wanted to, you can lift this model up higher. It is absolutely an option. And then these Technic pieces here just kind of jut out a little bit more than they did otherwise, but that's it. That's your real range of motion. You can go 1 more, 2 more back. Okay, you can go, I don't know if it's gonna stand like, I don't want to break it. I'm trying to review it here. Yeah, there's no chance it's gonna stand like that. Okay, yeah, I don't know why you would do that. I think it's just more of a byproduct of the design than really a feature. Yeah, pieces are breaking, so you really don't want to do that. Regardless, my real point is that that joint is very strong, and as far as like it pushing down, because like the weight of the head would be coming down on it, it's not going to fall in to the model, because this piece here is pushing like into the leg, causing it to not be able to fall down. So it is very well constructed. Like, there's a lot of smart engineering going on that's a little over my head. At the very front here, we've got the knee joint as well as the knee shield, so you can actually drop the shield down and see there is quite a bit of stuff going on behind it, but it really cleans it up. Like, having that there really makes the model look a lot cleaner, in my opinion. So it's nice that it's in universe, because otherwise I don't think they would have been able to clean this up much better than this. Here you can start to see maybe one of the main issues that this model had, like when I was younger. It can definitely like break apart a little bit if you're using it. You can easily push this all back together and get it strong again, but it's not like the absolute sturdiest modern day build. They're definitely still using plates and bricks to hold certain things together. So some things may feel like they're coming apart somewhat easily, but again, as a UCS set, putting on a shelf, not really going to be a problem for me these days. The tubing on the neck looks really good. I think that's a great detail to have on this one. It's some nice rubbery tubing, so you can move it a little bit and it won't just break, but the issue can be if you do hit it and a piece comes off, it can be a little difficult to place back, but not impossible. There we go. So yeah, the tubing I think is a great detail underneath the head there. Behind all of that, you've got this really interesting kind of platform looking section on the ATST where frankly it almost looks like a minifig should be standing if it was to scale, right? But it's not. So yeah, you've got this platform here. You've got the radiator and the exhaust represented, which look really nice. I think that's a good design for 2006. Certainly not as good as we'd probably see today, but definitely nice design for 2006. Love the use of some grill pieces on top as well as these. Definitely some nice stuff up there. It does feel a little empty, but it's probably just supposed to be a little empty, so it is what it is. I just really like the change in shapes just going to each little bit of the side of this build too. Makes it feel a lot more detailed. What I don't really like about this section though are the tan bricks. It's unfortunate for a UCS set to have something like this. Like, it just should be gray. It's kind of the vibe of the ATST, so I wish they were able to do away with those tan bricks there. I just don't think they look very good. They definitely detract from the overall accuracy and look of this build. But of all things, you know, it's all right. It's probably the worst thing about this build, in my opinion, so we'll take it, I guess. Then we've got the neck joint, which honestly is not that crazy strong. Like, it can definitely become dislodged rather easily. Like, you can see me shaking it back and forth. It will become dislodged if I shake it a little bit harder. So that is something that I think, you know, if they made a new one, they would definitely need to clean up. They surrounded it very nicely with these like tiled looking black pieces. So I think the whole design looks nice, but just how sturdy it is comes into question once you actually start using it, if you use it a little rougher than intended. And then I suppose I should also explain how the ATST's like head and platform sits on the legs. So you've got an attachment point up here. It's literally like this Technic piece that runs all the way through, right? That is your attachment to the legs. That is the single point of contact there. And then you've got this piece that kind of juts out from the leg here, and it just lays on there. Now it can actually fall beneath there too, which is not ideal. Like, I do wish there was something else holding it in place in the other direction. But as long as you're not, again, too rough with it, it shouldn't be a problem, but it can be a problem. Like if you move the leg too oddly in one direction, it will literally just fall down. And I mean, you probably don't want them both at the same time. That's not going to be ideal there. So that's another like little issue, not something that you'll run into if you're just a collector displaying the build or whatever, but it is worth noting for a review, of course. So with all of that out of the way, we've only got the head of the ATST left, and frankly, for 2006, this thing is a masterpiece. The first detail we got to look at here is the twin blaster cannons. Really clean looking. You got the main two here, a couple on the side. They're kind of built deep into the face of the ATST, which looks really nice with this little cutout here at the bottom. And so you can point them up slightly, and you can point them pretty far down at the ground if you need to point at a target on the ground, of course, on Endor or something. So really like that. I think they look really clean. Nice way to start it off. On the side here, you've got this rotating concussion launcher. It rotates and spins really well. I always enjoyed playing with this as a kid. Just spinning it was fun. And you can also rotate it all the way around, like 360 degrees. You can spin it really in any direction you need to get the target. So that's nice, works well, doesn't just fall off when you move it or anything, so nice and sturdy. Opposite of that, we've got the light blaster cannon, which looks super cool. I think this is my favorite weapon on the ATST. You've got like 3 main blasters there, you've got another little blaster, maybe targeting sensor on the side, and then you've got a shield on the side of it to protect it, and then it kind of spins around the same way the other one did. You can spin it in any direction. Yeah, there's little details on the back as well. Like, I love this little part of the ATST. Always been my favorite, and you can point it down at a target that's maybe lower on the ground if you need to. So just a lovely little weapon system on the ATST, and I think that covers the 3 main weapons. I don't think there's really any more than that. I guess they do use like a traditional feeling Lego Star Wars weapon piece on the top, but I think that's just supposed to represent the handrail. The paneling for the ATST is fairly sturdy. Like, you can push it and it won't immediately break apart, but you can see it does force that top hatch to start to open, but it's sturdy enough where it's just not going to fall apart in your hands, which is nice. The face looks beautiful, and you actually have the viewports here, but you can close them off to shield them off if you need, which is really great. So that's how the ATST looks. It looks like it's sleeping. Kind of funny. There's a sticker that's dead center there, and honestly, the coloring is not the best. It's a little off color, which really wasn't a huge problem for them back in this era. I wish they really had just printed it. They really should have. For UCS at 2006, they printed a lot of stuff back in this era like that, and for some reason they just chose not to print this one. But the face looks great. It sits really nicely in between the 2 panels on the side, and then I gotta show you the back as well. Super detailed. This is probably the most detailed section on this ATST. I think it looks really great. You've got these kind of exhaust looking fans that can spin if you want, and you've also, I love the way they're just tiled off. Even for 2006, they've got the pieces necessary to create that full square tiled off feel. So love that. Looks great on the back. The very top of the ATST is of course where you're gonna find the railing and the hatch. The hatch can be lifted and opened very simply. It can just sit back there, and that gives you an opening into the ATST's head. Well, at least, yeah, if I don't pick it up. But yeah, even though there are going to be no minifigs really going in and out of there, you can have the idea that the ATST driver is popping out. It's just super out of scale, so if you had a figure there, it looks awkward to me. I really wouldn't do that, and there's also no way for him, well, now he's gone, no way for him to like hold on, you know, so I wouldn't do that. But the feature is represented here, which is really what you want to see at this scale. Before I rescue that ATST driver, I just want to show you the rotation for the head here, so you can have it kind of off axis and then turn it in. It doesn't have that much rotation because it runs into your joint shields there, so you can only turn it so much, but you get a little bit of rotation. Look, my preferred way to display it is certainly just straight up. I wouldn't rotate it at all to display it. Like, I think it can look a little awkward doing that, unless you also put the feet in an angle, but I just really like it just straight up as is. But yeah, the feature's there. You can turn it if you want. You can turn everything and do weird stuff with it, but you know, very normal with it, I guess. Now, if you need to get inside the head of this thing to fix something, or you just want to see how it works, or grab your ATST driver that you dropped in there, you can lift this up, completely separate from the hatch too, by the way. So that's really awesome. You can lift that up and away from the model, and so you can do that. You can also drop the entire back section down at the same time. So you get full access to the head of the ATST. It's really odd, kind of almost like performing brain surgery, but there's no brain inside. We'll just save our guy. Get him out of there. But looking in here, I think tells you the full story on how they got the panels for the ATST head to have just the perfect angles. It looks so great, right? So they're on these partially like little hinge pieces, and then you've got them connected with Technic and held down, and then you've also got the rubber band, which I think is the most interesting part of it, and that keeps these two side panels from bowing out too far. So you push them out, they just get pulled right back to be perfectly angled with the face of the ATST at the front there. So that rubber band really doing the heavy lifting in there. But yeah, it looks awesome. Really cool to see the inside. And it's hollow, of course, which is going to reduce the weight coming down on the legs, allowing it to stay stable. But yeah, you can lift that back up and into place fairly easily. Drop this back down, put the hatch back down, and everything's kind of back to normal. I feel like this ATST has become kind of a forgotten UCS set over time, and not for the wrong reasons. It didn't include any minifigs, certainly no exclusive ones there, right? To remember, like, oh, this set had that crazy minifig that one time that's worth X amount of dollars nowadays. It also just is one of the cheaper UCS sets that ever came out at $80. Like, so it's smaller. It's just not as exciting or imposing compared to a lot of modern or more recent UCS sets. And, you know, it's a nice build, but at the end of the day, it's also nothing to write home about, I would say. Like, it's clean. You just got to have a special taste, I think, to really want this one from 2006. So as much as I love it, I feel like the community kind of left it behind, which is sad. So 2006 ATST, just a beautiful, beautiful set. I would totally recommend it if you're into the classic Lego Star Wars vibes, because it really delivers. Like, it's not a bad early UCS set. Like the TIE Interceptor and X-Wing, the first two UCS sets are pretty atrocious by today's standards. This one only came out like 6 years later and has aged infinitely better than those. So from that standpoint alone, if you like classic Lego Star Wars, I feel like this is worth picking up because it can still fit into a modern Lego Star Wars collection. So let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section below. If you guys did enjoy the review, hit the like button. You can check out more 2006 Lego Star Wars set reviews on the end screen now.